Hey!
Hey,
Hey, did you hear that? Sorry, can you hear me?
yeah, nice video background.
Thank you. That it's one that came with the Zoom, so
Yeah.
I used it for a pastor's meeting. Actually, we went for a bike ride today, and that's what it felt like outside for me was a
Oh, yeah.
tropical island. I know it could have been a little warmer, but it's
Yeah.
fine. I'm so
uh,
stoked that warm weather's here. Just tell us maybe where you grew up and go from there.
Yeah, I grew up in Williston, North Dakota. Um, I didn't realize it till I think it was in college. We were planning like a spring break trip, and we wanted to just go camping out in the middle of nowhere. So we picked up a U.S. map and we look and like, where's the most remote place ever? Well, Northwest North Dakota was one of those places. There's like nothing else around. I think when I saw that, I realized, okay, I really grew up very sheltered, really out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Williston is where I grew up, and grew up in a Christian home. My parents were former Catholics, and then they went to didn't like the Catholic Church really in Williston, so we grew up in a Lutheran Brethren church.
Yeah.
Was a really good church. When I went to college, I really got involved with crew, and then
Nice.
a couple years in with an Assembly of God denomination, um, the college ministry there. It's called Chi Alpha. And then also the church I was going to there was a evangelical covenant church. So kind of a mix of all over. But as far as like when I was in high school, um, or at least when I came to faith, I'm not really sure. Like I can't say an exact date or time. No, there's certainly times where I was really like really dependent on God. I had a big fear of speaking in front of people,
Hmm.
especially like in middle school.
Yeah.
So like we do this, it was really bad. Like we would do, like we just read out of a textbook and it would kind of go from one desk to the next, kind of around the class, and it'd be coming to me, and I would either like say I had to go to the bathroom, and then I go up and go to the bathroom, so I'd miss my turn, or I'd say I was feeling sick and I go home, or like if it stopped like two before me and I knew the next day the teacher was going to pick that same thing up, I would just not go to school the next day. So I had like just a petrifying fear of just speaking out loud in
Yeah.
school. That carried all through middle school and a lot through high school too. But it wasn't until I got to college where it really started to click. One of my first semesters there, I went to UND, and I decided to take a class called Jesus in the Gospel and History. And um, thinking, this might be an easy A. Well, I get into the class, and the first class, the professors just start lecturing, and all of a sudden he says, Jesus never claimed he was God in the Gospels at all. And I just remember going, what? What? Looking around the class like, this true? And I thought, I should probably read the Bible. I had
Yeah.
no idea how to defend that.
Yeah.
And so I started reading through John, and there's that verse where Jesus is arguing with the Pharisees, and they're like, he says, "Before Abraham was, I am." And
Yeah.
that phrase, "I am," is like, okay, if he's, how can it's so crystal clear? So in college, that's where I started to really wrestle with a lot of that stuff. Taking religion classes in college, and
Yeah.
um, just being around people who, for the first time ever, like people who naturally would talk about Jesus. We never really did that in high school. My
Yeah.
parents kind of did it, but like my peers, there was just never a natural conversation about Jesus. So going to crew and the church I was involved with, and then that Chi Alpha Assembly of God campus ministry, through a lot of those different things, and wrestling through some religion classes, that's where I really started to read the Bible, and it really clicked. Well, there's a few times it clicked, but another time I remember is reading Ephesians 2:8 and 9, and that's where it's talking about it's by grace you have been saved through faith and not by works.
Hmm.
Because I was growing up in a Christian home, I think a lot of people get this where it's very works based, and it's like I have to do this and this and this to be saved. And reading that verse, I'm like, it blew my mind, thinking by grace through faith, and this is not of yourselves; it is a gift from God.
So you would say the Bible's important, or
Yeah, yeah. And people are searching a lot of times. I'll tell them to read John, Acts, and Romans, um, because John is like where you really learn about Jesus, and
Yep.
then Romans, sort of that legal like courtroom type thing. Like,
Yeah.
you have the Romans Road and all that, or even before that. Sorry, Acts is
Yeah.
like what the church is supposed to be like. So I kind of point people who are searching to go through those books.
And in college, you were in a band, right?
Yeah,
Tell us
yeah.
a little bit about that.
That was part of the Chi Alpha campus ministry.
Oh,
Um, the reason I was drawn to that is because it was heavy in the music, like very music based. Like we would play hour long worship sets every week, and I
yeah.
really like that. Um, and the people there were awesome. And kind of out of that, we formed a band, a rock band that kind of toured around the region for a few years. And I put out a couple albums.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What got you into music?
that's a good question. It was in my church in Williston.
It was Milli Vanilli, wasn't it? No,
Yes.
that's a reference that nobody will get outside of like.
No, in Williston, the church we were part of had very, very lots of hymns and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
then they found out that I played drums, and here I am, a little freshman in high school, and they're like, "Oh, why don't you play drums for our Sunday morning service?" I said, "Sure, why not?" So little did I know it was going on behind the scenes, like the old fashioned, like these people did not want drums, they wanted hymns, and then these people did not want hymns, they wanted this contemporary stuff. There was a lot of this
Yeah.
infighting going on behind the scenes, and here I am, this scared little drummer up there playing every week. But I mean, I'm so thankful for that opportunity because that was a great experience, and that's really what got me into music, and
Yeah.
that's kind of why I have a heart for like um, people in high school, like just getting out there and practicing, getting to play.
Just tell
And
us like what happened after college and
yeah, so after college, I was teaching English as a second language. Um, these are students from like Saudi Arabia, Korea, Japan, um, and then I was like head of the missions board at my church, and even an elder there. This is like I'm like a 23-year-old kid, and
oh
I'm an
wow.
elder of this like 1,000-person church, whatever. I can't remember how big it was at the time, but I
Yeah.
was should not have been in that position. But anyway, I was really passionate about. I had a lot of time on my hands other than my
Yeah.
job, like just doing ministry and um, just seeing people from other cultures. I mean, I talk about growing up in the middle of nowhere. When I got to meet people from Saudi Arabia and like listen to what they believed, I mean, it was very eye-opening seeing all these different cultures. And so I really had Heather, my wife, and I just started to have more of a sense of call to like missions going overseas. So we decided to go to school, leading to go down to school at Columbia International University in South Carolina. So we packed up and moved there.
Yeah. So you're one of those weird people in church history that thinks that theology matters. It actually affects things.
And I didn't think that honestly, till I
Such
took
a novel idea.
it
And
actually
it is in
was,
our culture, I'll be honest. Sorry. Go ahead. What? We'll take
no,
it.
it was, so it was when I was in Grand Forks, I was going to a church, which is very much of the Willow Creek model. Just being able to, like, when I hear a sermon about this, and then I hear a John Piper sermon about this, and they're like at odds, just being able to wrestle with that and understand that biblically.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those tools. And so when I went to school down in South Carolina, I took a systematic theology class. I'd never heard the phrase systematic theology. And when I took that class, I was like, oh, people actually take the Bible and they organize these theological thoughts. And there's people that have been doing this for thousands of years. This is really helpful. Um, so that was a very helpful class. Like, so being able to have, it was almost like a Christian worldview filter that I never had.
So what would you say for like the seniors or even like juniors maybe that are thinking about some college prep or whatever, like what's some wisdom you could throw down on them?
I, I like what Josh and Josh said, and I'm going to reiterate what they said. Like the
Yeah.
friends you make in college are it, it's make or break for your life. Um, Not to put a big burden on anyone, but it's a huge decision. Like I always tell my kids, the number one decision you're ever going to make is what you believe about Jesus. Number two is going to be who are the friends that you're going to hang around with because they're so influential. So I remember going to college and I didn't know where I was going to go that very first week. Like, do I go to the parties and hang out with these people or do I go to church? And I'm so thankful for the people there who were like, hey, you should come to church or come to crew here with us. Because if my default probably would have just been to hang out with whoever was close enough.
Yeah.
And that completely changed my trajectory as far as where I went, where God led me, I should say.
I guess I can pray for you and
Yeah,
be done. Thanks so much for sharing everything you did. So, Father, we thank you so much for your grace and your mercy, and thank you for what Greg shared and the wisdom he has. And I pray that you would just use that to benefit the students and even me as a leader, Lord. And I pray that you would provide whatever he needs during this time. And thank you so much for his willingness to lead and to serve with the worship team. I just want to thank you for your goodness again and pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen. All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You have a great night.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.